Good evening, Patriots, and welcome to another edition of Comfy Sunday. I realize the president just went live. Unfortunately, our guest only has an hour, and he's scheduled at 8 o'clock. So we're going to do our best to cover what's happening in the world. We're going to have a comfy conversation. I got the president's presser going in one window. Please, everybody, do sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a brief word from our sponsor. If CV-19 hasn't turned your financial life upside down and you need help to sort out your choices to get back on track, you should talk to the team at Noble Gold. They've helped hundreds of families through this crisis and can guide you back to safety and give you ideas of how to get there. When you need a financial friend, Noble Gold will be there, and you can contact them at 877-646-5347. Once again, that's 877-646-5347. 5347, or you can hit the link below, tell them Red Pill 78 sent you, and remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel. All right, folks, welcome back. Thank you for sticking around. I am a little bit better, but to help ease the burden, our friend Seasoned Pixels is joining us today in the first hour, and as always, my co-host Methods is here as well. What's up, Methods? How are you, buddy?
What's up, man? I'm feeling a little bit better than you sounding right now. But you're getting through it. Appreciate you still sticking into the show.
Yeah.
And man, we'll have a good one regardless of, if Trump wants to talk live, that's fine. We'll just keep going.
Yeah. Right now it looks like he's talking, just giving everybody an update. People always get angry if we are going at the same time the president's going, but we have a schedule, so we stick to the schedule. The president kind of does these pressers when it suits him, and I don't blame him for it. But I appreciate anybody who is here right now, and of course I appreciate anybody who's watching this after the president's live stream, if that's what you're doing. Seasoned Pixels, how are you, buddy?
Doing real well, Red Pill. Good to be on here with you guys.
Good. I'm glad you're here. I am a little bit better, guys. I haven't spoken much since last night when I got off the show. I just want to let everyone know that I am going to be taking a day off tomorrow, so there will be no shows tomorrow. I'm just going to spend the day resting, allowing myself to drink throat coat tea and tablespoons of Manuka honey, if anybody knows what that is, as well as elderberry syrup. I've got a whole witch's brew, if you will, of homeopathic remedies. So, basically, I don't know what the president's saying, but hopefully he's got some good news. I know that upcoming we've got some things that we're expecting to happen. I think that a lot of people are expecting things to happen. I've said it in the past, the way all of this plays out is going to be the way that it has to play out. And it makes sense considering the people that we've seen coming down with this stuff. There is a plausibility that this could be cover for something else. Rather than seeing a public takedown, maybe we're going to see a private expiration, if we will. Now, what am I just talking about here? I'm talking about a theory, and this is very, very important because I see a lot of things being bandied around, people discussing things, but I see people presenting things sometimes that are obviously theories, but they're presenting them as if they're facts. And this is something I talked about once over the weekend. And I don't mean to, get anybody angry. I'm trying to be responsible with the way that I present information. I always do, my due diligence to state something as a theory, if that's what it is. And then if I have some factual evidence to present on something, then I'll go ahead and put it that way. But I'll always tell you, this is what I'm thinking. I want to know what you guys are thinking. And I think that this is really important right now because we have so many eyes on this movement. We have so many new people who are coming in. We have a lot of people watching to see if we're going to screw up, if we're going to say something that doesn't jive. So I kind of wanted to get your opinion on this, you guys, Methods and Pixels. Pixels, why don't we hear from you first?
Sure. For the last couple weeks, there's been a lot of stuff shared out there. Particularly, there's a theory going around about kind of an underground war going on where Countless children are being rescued from sex trafficking operations and stuff. And look, some of the stuff out there, for instance, like the military, I think it was the Army spending $500 million training soldiers to fight underground. That's sauce. And there's, a few other things out there that would kind of, you'd expect people to draw that conclusion from what they're seeing. But like Red Pill said, that's a theory. And I think the most important thing is when you're sharing information, when you're sharing a theory, you say outright, this is just a theory. We don't know yet if this is 100% or not. And, I think furthermore, throughout this movement, we've had a lot of moments where we've had to learn that maybe the Anons were wrong about something, or maybe the information being pushed around isn't really the truth or whatever. So I think that just there needs to be heightened discernment among as many people as possible. I would also add, Q has said multiple times in posts, and I know that some people look down on saying, "Oh, Q said this, therefore this," but I'm just saying there's a lot of posts that say you are the news now, handle with care, and I think we could be as a movement handling this situation with more care than we are right now.
Absolutely. I think it's well said. And I'd also like to welcome Simone into the show. It's been great to have her in the background.
I've actually got my mic muted so nobody could hear it, but she is just cawing it up. I'm gonna kick her out.
No, go ahead, man. But no, I agree with Pixels here on all this. And we're not exactly trying to not cover certain things or whatever, but when you have things that are okay, you have the sauce. Okay, yeah, we know the Army was training on these things, but then we also have things that are not exactly proven to be true, or we hear rumors, or the earthquakes things gets tied straight to bunkers. If you put all those things together, it does make sense to a certain point of view, but it's just a theory, and that's great. We love the public conversation in a lot of ways. The only way that we can really talk at certain times is publicly on Twitter or whatever. But when it gets spread around enough to where then it becomes, okay, it gets stated as fact with a period at the end of it, and that's the end quote, that's where things start to become a problem. Because I do see, we do have a lot more eyes on us right now. I'm hearing it all the time. I get tagged in things on, hey, I'm new to this, our favorite Anon movement, even though Pixels has now said it multiple times. We get tagged in these things and we want to help and all that stuff, but they're seeing what we're all seeing. And what we're seeing is a lot of bold statements happening at times. And we know people are trying, they're trying to help, they're trying to do the right thing, spread this information. We don't know, it's hard to keep tabs on everybody who just got into this stuff and they're excited to help out, who's been an OG that's been around for a few years, people who were into this way before even our favorite Anon showed up. But to us, that's why, you haven't seen me tweet a whole lot recently. It's because I'm not sure about certain things. It sounds great. It's a great theory. I don't mind coming on shows like this at all and discussing it as possibility. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into some great ideas with Sam later, because of what he does with his show. It's okay to have the discussion, but when things are like printed words on social media and all that stuff, it gets read. We don't know who's reading these things. Yeah. Just like how we talk about, why always put you're discouraged, nothing's going to happen, blah, blah, replies on tweets and stuff. You don't know who's on the fence and knew about the stuff. And then they see that they're like, okay, maybe it is all garbage. Mm-hmm. And then they stop paying attention at all. So the whole handle with care thing, like Pixels brought up, that's kind of why we don't sell our souls to this conversation, in a weird way to put it. Yeah. If that makes sense, right, Red Pill?
Yeah, definitely. Everything that our favorite Anon has said with regards to our position now in terms of bringing information, I take it very seriously. Like you said, I love to have deep philosophical conversations. I love what ifs. I love to go down these roads and try to imagine the possibilities. It's very, very interesting to me, and I have a pretty good imagination, and I've always enjoyed putting things together like this. But because of the fragile nature of the truth and the people who are taking this information in, if they are new and they've, only just come into a conversation and this is the first time they're hearing about something, then they might take it and say, wow, I heard this channel say this and they told me it was the truth. And then they start going around and then, they are spreading disinformation. And the thing that I'm really worried about is because there's so many eyes on and new people, I'm worried about David Brock's people coming in and pretending to be us, because we know that is an objective fact. That was their plan. They did that on purpose. They posed as conservatives. They went into chat rooms. They went on social media. They went onto Facebook, and they pretended to be us. And they said things that were inflammatory. They said things that were meant to harm, meant to offend, that were deliberately false in an effort to discredit us. And that's what I don't want to happen. We've come so far, and we have so much de facto power now because the mainstream media has shown their true colors. They've shown that they don't care about putting out false information, the fake news. That's all they do. So I take it so seriously. I take it upon myself to try to bring everyone the truth of the matter, And I mean, like, when we've got things that we need to speculate about, that's great. We just got to make sure we frame it correctly. And honestly, I'm not talking about any one specific issue. I mean, it could be any number of things. Somebody sees a video by somebody on YouTube, and then they just run with whatever the theory was in the video, and they say, I know this is true, and it might be, but we don't know that to be the case yet. And I just want everyone to be careful, and I don't want some of us to get labeled as fake news. That's what's important to me.
Right, and I'll agree with that. And then I want to hear Pixel's take after this. I kind of want to positively challenge everybody, especially those that have built up, a certain following, that developed, trust, because we can see you trying, you are being genuine. I mean, me and Red Pill didn't know a few years ago that we'd be in whatever position we are in now. And that's why we take this very seriously, to not put out certain stuff. But I challenge everybody, watch what you're putting out now specifically. Choose your wording carefully, disclaimer things of that. If you built up such a platform, sometimes you don't have to tweet anything if you're unsure. It doesn't need, and I'm not saying it's all about clicks or building up if you happen to have your, PayPal accounts attached to you or whatever. It shouldn't be about that, especially during this time, because we are seeing a concerted effort of fueling this fire from shills. It's obvious they are adding more. They're putting out even more fake things that are easy to create. If you can create it, or a friend can create it and put it out there, and then all they need is a few other people to say, oh my God, this is true, then that creates fake news, right? If we can't see to the bottom to where this truth came from, then as much as we love, me and Red Pill will talk about it for an hour off air. But if we can't prove it, then we say, that's interesting, I hope we find out more, let me know if you find it, and then we never cover it. But yeah, what do you think, Pixels?
No, I think you both are spot on. One more thing I'll add is that this is not a game. Red Pill kind of mentioned he loves, and I do too, trust me. Red Pill said he loves talking about the what ifs and having those philosophical questions or conversations, and speculating, right? And it's fun. But the fact of the matter is that what we're in right now is not a game, and the reason for it is not to entertain ourselves. It's to inform the public and get the public ready for what's coming. So when you're involving yourself in this movement, especially if you're new, you need to realize that this is not a game. It's very serious what we're doing. And this is about so much more than keeping yourself entertained. This is about the truth. This is about the truth about things that many of us years ago never could have imagined how serious this is. So
Hey, buddy, they're saying the sound's off.
Sorry about that. I want to say that many people in the chat were asking about 5G, if we're going to address that specifically. This is an excellent example I did a show when I first started with Cody Snodgrass, and Cody knew more information about 5G than anybody I'd ever met. And it was a show that I think gave a lot of people a lot of information, and it was scientifically verifiable. The effects of millimeter waves on the human body are deadly. They are bad. Now, a lot of people are making the equation between 5G and the CV-19 that we have right now. In my eyes, I don't believe that the 5G is the direct cause of the CV-19 itself, because we have cases in areas where there is no 5G coverage. However, it would make sense to me, based upon my knowledge of the effects of the 5G on the human body, that it would be a complicating factor and make the effects of whatever the CV-19 is much, much more dangerous. So when it comes down to it, I don't know if President Trump has done something to make 5G safe. I pray every day that he has, but I don't know firsthand, so I can't say it. I know that other people have said it before. There have been decodes that are claiming that. It's a wonderful thing. I want to believe it, but I don't know it yet. And I have to believe that President Trump is a smart enough person to know what the danger of this technology is. And knowing what President Trump's heart is in terms of the safety and security of the American public, I have to believe that he would do something to make sure that this technology is not used in a way which is going to hurt us, because that would be just the end of everything. Okay, we would have many, 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 many deaths. But I don't know it. I don't know it firsthand, and so I can't tell you guys that that's the truth. I really hope that it is, and I pray every day that President Trump has done something to go ahead and fix this. But that's about the extent of it. All I can tell you is that I know for certain that this is no good. Now, this Pkwy information, which has come up recently, is something that I wanted to discuss in terms of this conversation, but I would love to hear what Pixels and Methods have to say about that 5G thing in particular.
Age before beauty, man. Go ahead, Pixels.
I haven't looked into the 5G stuff a lot. Based off of what Red Pill says, it doesn't sound like a good thing to have to me. But what I will say is that I trust the president. I really do. President Trump is the only person in the government that I have 100% confidence in, at least trust-wise. And I believe his heart is in the right place, and I believe that he loves and cares for the American people. And so if the 5G thing is up to him, then I have to kind of assume that he's done something to assure that the 5G won't be used in a nefarious manner. But like Red Pill said, I don't know. I'm literally just going off of my feelings right now on this.
Now, I just want to say I've got the meme pulled up on screen right now. It says, "Trust Trump, he fixed 5G." And in relation to Pkwy, in layman's terms, Pkwy magnets essentially cleanse the impurities from the 5G and work on an ionic level to keep oxygen from being depleted, rendering the signal harmless. Pkwy is an alloy of cobalt, vanadium, and iron, creating a magnetic material which facilitate many innovative technological advances for our future, including space travel. So, it sounds good, and in theory, I believe that this could be something that actually does work. But as this is the first time that we're hearing about it, really, I don't know if it's the case. It's something that I'm trying to do research on so that I can bring you guys a responsible story on it. Methods, before we get your thing on 5G, I just need to say thank you to Marty Cannon. He says, "Praying for you, brother. Where we go one, we go all. Thanks for all you do." I appreciate you, Marty. Dylan McConnell says, "Blue Shield Technologies has blood and urine tests on their website that prove scalar energy beats out 5G and repairs the body." Dylan, are you saying that if people have damage as a result of 5G, then the scalar technology can be used to cure you? I've had a sponsor on the channel one time, a couple different times, that's selling a device, a scalar wave device that actually is supposed to heal you. I would love to get my hands on one of those. They're just very expensive. Social Observer says, if Trump supports 5G and forced vaccinations, I can't support him anymore. Social Observer, I don't think you're alone. I think the vast majority of President Trump's base would probably turn their back if those two things, if President Trump is going to institute something that's going to kill millions of Americans, that right there is going to result in a big drop off in support. If he is interested in implementing forced vaccinations, a vast majority of his base would also turn their back. So I don't think you're alone in that. Joey Stewart says, I work on and install 5G networks, and I've been sick way more than before I was exposed. Same thing has happened to a lot of people in my field. Joey, thank you so much for sharing that. My heart goes out to you, buddy. I don't doubt it at all. I've heard reports of TSA agents at the airport who stood next to those the back scanning scatter machines or whatever, and those people are sick in a lot of ways more than they ever were before as well. But Methods, what's your take on this whole 5G thing?
Well, my whole take on it is this bleeds back into the conversation we were just having. Like, I don't know enough. I mean, that wasn't my thing to study for years to have a grip on it. And on top of that, like when people send me videos about it, because they hear me constantly talk about not knowing much about it, it's like, are these videos slanted towards an opinion that's already there and the video fits it? So it's once again, like, I don't know. Like the meme you just shared sounds like great information.
Yeah.
Don't know if the meme has sauce behind it. And that's kind of what it comes down to, is I've had to just look at things in a factual basis. And if we're talking about essentially a language I don't speak, then I'm not going to talk about it, because you guys don't need to focus on what Methods thinks about it, or what Red Pill thinks about it.
I've got something I want to put in here. Elizabeth G says, and just how do you know this is all fake news drummed up by the Democrats to hurt the president? I don't. And that's the whole point of this situation, is that I don't have confirmation on certain things one way or the other. And I just want you guys to understand that I want to be a responsible party in terms of the information that I bring you. I'm saying that there is a possibility that operatives of David Brock and Media Matters could be out there putting fake news into our ecosystem in order to, discredit us. I know this as a fact because there was a memo that was leaked from them that was put out, and we could read it. We could read exactly what their plans were. I'm not calling anything out right now as fake news and saying that it is disinformation, and I know it to be the case. We're just having a conversation about the need to verify and frame conversations in terms of being a theory or a possibility or as actual facts.
Right. We're having a conversation about the conversation itself. Like the idea of what's getting spread around, we all see it. We all talk about it because we're trying to figure out the best way to handle it in the positions that we have. And then we decided to start off this show about the conversation itself and how these conversations are handled. That's why, to me, it's like, I don't care if a tweet gets 2,000 or 3,000 likes and gets retweeted all over because it resonates with people. That's great. That's not me. I'm not, unless you can give me more, or if I take the time to find it and I agree with it, then I'll go back and retweet it and give, whatever I need to do. But it's more than that, is that we're kind of getting away from finding the facts themselves. A SoundCloud clip of somebody that any of us could have somebody record, a voice you've never heard before, upload it with a certain topic, or have somebody throw scrubs on in front of a camera and say, I'm a doctor and this is what's happening in New York, when it could very well be filmed in, Idaho. Like, we don't know. And that's why we try to take things that seriously, because we want to be there for everybody. We've tried to earn, not necessarily the respect, but the trust, because we wanted to be those people. We wanted to be there. We realized that we were getting pushed to that point. And so we want to handle it right. And all because we aren't saying what everybody's saying. We're not endorsing it 110% and being crazy about it. I mean, we're seeing screen caps from TV shows and foreign movies and video games being shared. Yeah. And it took me 5 minutes to find it as not true. So, I mean, the whole thing's a mess. And like he was bringing up with Brock and all those people, like if I was going to infiltrate, a lib thing or whatever. I'd get in talking 80% truth with a 20% spin to take you somewhere. And that's what we're concerned about happening in general. We're not at all trying, obviously, like, say, if we're going to keep talking about children's stuff, obviously we want them saved. Obviously that would be the intent to save. It's been talked about by the president. It's been talked about by the military. The EOs say it, all that stuff. We know that that's a part of a dark business that happens.
Yeah.
We're all about that happening as far as saving this, because we wish that on nobody. I mean, they need a chance to live life. We've had the ability to make it this far, with this crazy world we live in. We want that. We pray for that. But with that said, when it comes to certain things like sending us earthquake maps that say, hey, this is equal to, I'm not an earthquake guy. I hate to tell you, I'm not. So I'm not exactly going to say, hey, did you guys see this and present it as such, because we understand how quickly that can take off, and we're worried about news becoming theory, because how far of a degree does that become fake news when we don't know the truth and it might be 50-50.
Also, Elizabeth said she apologized, didn't mean to attack me. I know, Elizabeth. I thought it was an important thing to say, because I'm looking at the chat as it's going by. Need to say thank you to Joey Stewart again. Social Observer says, we are electrical beings and are under attack. Heavy metals and vaccines are designed to amplify immune deficiency with 5G infrastructure. It's very possible. There is so many things that are attacks that are built in on our society from a variety of different directions. And this is, the kind of thing that we need to be researching and get the information on. I want to move on from the 5G stuff. Sometime in the future, I'm going to try to do a show with somebody who has a lot of good information. Phil Thompson says, POTUS and Q said 5G is part of the wall. Look, please. Is that the case? Does that sound familiar to you guys?
What was that?
It said Q and POTUS said that 5G is part of the wall.
Maybe. It's so hard to keep up with all this stuff. But I know we've only got Pixels for a few more minutes. Appreciate you coming and hanging out with us, bud. What else would you like to talk to? We've got about 2,700 people here. By the way, about 700 likes. If you guys click that like button, I know that the POTUS presser is happening and all that. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Click that like button if you can. But hey, Pixels, is there anything else that you want to just touch on before we let you go?
Yeah, one thing that's been bugging me, and I'm sure that you guys have already beaten this, and it's a really, really, really dead horse by now. But our favorite Anon only posts in one place, and there are no outside comms.
Right.
Just want to reiterate that 1,000 more times, especially for all the new people out there. Don't fall for stupid stuff on the internet. Anybody can go on the internet and claim that they're an insider, et cetera, et cetera. So just be careful, and be careful what you're sharing.
Yep. Question everything that we put out. Absolutely. I mean, just go find it, the information. Hopefully we've provided it. But if we make claims, go figure it out, the best you can, or ask for help, and hopefully people will give you that information.
Yeah.
Now, before Pixels, you want to let everybody know where they can find you, what you got going on? Apparently you've been on how many shows today?
This is the third.
Look at you, trooper.
Yeah,
Rock
triple
star.
duty. And then I got to go to work at 9, and I'll be there till 6 in the morning. So yeah, it's gonna be rough.
Wow.
But,
well, good luck to you, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I mean, you can find me on Twitter. I don't think I can post a link because I think link sharing is turned off in the live chat.
It is, yes.
All right, but yeah, it's the same as you see on Zoom here. Season Pixels, that's my account on Twitter. I'm kind of on and off on there, but you can also find me over at 5x5. That's a new network that we're kind of building on YouTube to try and cover news and stuff like that. And then you can find me over at PSB too on the weekends at 2 p.m. But yeah, that's basically it.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for helping take a little bit of that stress off of my vocal cords. I appreciate it.
No problem, Red Pill. Hope you feel better soon.
Thanks, Season Pixels. We'll see you later, buddy.
See you. Peace out,
see you, buddy.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, qmap.pub is a website that is built by a person not affiliated with the team. It just aggregates all the the posts. I don't think there's, I use it. I've got it pulled up on my screen right now. I don't see any reason not to use it. But I don't see anything about 5G being part of the wall. And Eyes Wide Open said that our favorite Anon has never mentioned 5G, and that's what I thought. I don't see anything here about it, but if anybody has a post number and they want to let me know, then I can go ahead and pull it up. Thank you very much, everybody. We've got 962 likes and 2,733 people here. If you guys wouldn't mind hitting that like button, sharing it on your favorite social media, it would do a lot of good for us. Do appreciate it. Methods, we had a couple other stories that we wanted to discuss specifically. Let's see. So Boris Johnson is now officially hospitalized. Came out a couple weeks ago that he had tested positive for CV-19. I think that this is one of the things that people have been afraid of. You know, these new leaders across the globe, people who are interested in the sovereignty of their nation and the good of their people, actually being people who are victimized and coming down with this sickness. Do you have any news on Boris Johnson's condition?
No, all I saw is what you saw earlier. I mean, if there's more, if anybody out there from across the pond wants to share it in chat, just tag us. Yeah, I mean, him being in the care that he needs is obviously great. We need Boris Johnson to, you know, fulfill what he's trying to do, whether you love him or hate him or whatever. You just hate to hear it in general. I mean, when this comes, I mean, this has nothing to do with, you know, right, left, you know, skin color, all that mess. This has to do with human life in general.
Yeah.
You just hate to hear it for anybody getting this thing, even though, you know, we do see the comments when certain people get it, you're like, oh, okay, well, that's karma or whatever. You know, come on, we're still a human race here and we're trying to make it. And so, no, I hope for a full recovery because he's who's in right now.
All right. So Robin Peak says, he said, wall means so much more. I mean, I do remember that post. Wall means so much more. Let's see if I can find it. Of course, it's going to give me a lot of different posts. I remember that post, but I don't remember what number it was. You know, now that somebody says that, I do believe that it was interpreted by certain people at that time to potentially have something to do with that. You know, I mean, like I said, I don't believe that President Trump would implement something on a nationwide basis that would allow for people to be harmed. I think that he would try to find a way to make it safe. So if anybody has any information on covfefe magnets, if that's ever been a real thing or if somebody just put it together on their own, you know, I would love to get any more information about it. Shungite is something that I've heard people referring to. I see that Ann Harris says that in the chat. Yes, so Boris Johnson apparently was diagnosed 10 days ago or something like that. He is in the hospital for additional testing. And, you know, did you happen to watch that video that I sent you, Methods?
Yes, I did. I caught it, and I have a general understanding of what he was trying to explain. So if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, so on Bill Still's channel, The Still Report, there was a New York doctor, an emergency room doctor. He was there specifically just to work on patients. But he said that the people who are getting sick and needing to be put on ventilators are not responding to the ventilation technique. And it's almost as if these people are at an incorrect altitude. They're up too high and they're not able to get the oxygen absorbed into their lungs. So it's more than the symptoms of a mnemonic disorder. They're not treating it correctly is what he's saying. Obviously, this is another one of those things where there's so much information coming out in all these different directions. And I haven't been able to verify him as a doctor in New York City. I don't even know if he lives there or if he just traveled there in order to, to work and save people. But this is something that I'm going to be looking into as well. I've got somebody in New York City who is trying to get me some firsthand information so that I can give it to you guys. Let's see. Baby Yoda. Oh, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Gaia Love 17 said elderberry tea and honey, sending love and light to you, Red Pill. Thank you. My mom made some homemade elderberry syrup, and I've been taking that slowly throughout the day. I also got Ricola with soothing honey and eucalyptus inside. Works miracles. And then I have my throat coat tea, which is helping out. Need to say thank you to Van Yoga Finance. What if you were offered $5 million to report fake news? No, I wouldn't take it. No, my integrity means too much to me. I wouldn't take money to say something was true that wasn't true. It doesn't matter. I wouldn't be able to live with myself, and I wouldn't be able to come here on a daily basis and report this information to you guys. If I came to you and let you guys know that I had received a large sum of money to say something that wasn't true and to report it as if it was true, then my own guilt would be so much that I wouldn't be able to continue.
Well, I mean, to that point, that's like putting a price on the effect of whatever the news is on the people that aren't us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that to me, that's not what we're about. I mean, at any point, me and you could have just not got involved in this situation, but we wanted to come and help. So, I mean, offering X amount of money for those things, that goes against what me and you believed in from the jump. And that's why we connected, because we both understood that we thought the same way about it.
Okay, it looks like, thank you for that, Methods, and that is absolutely correct. Clay Brukin actually put a website, AmericanElements.com, and there is a Covfefe magnet, which is really cool, and I want to go ahead and get this pulled up here. AmericanElements.com. Let's see, so the advancement here is... Let's search for Covfefe. Iron, cobalt, vanadium alloy. It's true. Well, but there is no there's no E on vanadium, but they did tag it with Covfefe. Yeah. That's very strange. Okay, guys, check this out. All right, so here is the Covfefe iron, cobalt, vanadium alloy, all of the information about it, safety information. It's a soft magnetic alloy with the highest flux density of any strip core alloy, making it ideal for use in tape cores and magnetic cores. Available in numerous machine shapes. Typical in custom packaging. So this is pretty sweet. I'm going to drop this link into the chat for you guys so that you can see it for yourself. And there you go. All right. Need to say thank you to Elizabeth for joining as a member. D's Nuts Be Dragon. Soul is not for sale. Exactly. My soul, method soul, it's not for sale. Social Observer says, Patriots, make sure you buy Faraday fabric. That is a real thing. And yeah, it actually could come in very handy. Stephanie Oostveen says, Obama has it. I don't know which one specifically you were talking about, Stephanie, but thank you very much. Clay says, read the about section on that page. Let me, yeah. So, a range of grades are available, including mil-spec, military grade. So this is an advanced material. So that is very, very cool. And let's see, there is a section for research laboratory. We'll see what that says. Claudette Petchert, thank you very much for that. Baby Yoda, thank you, Baby Yoda. JT Suited says, thank you for your work. Stephanie Oostven says, head lice medicine, Ivermectin, is killing it. Is killing the sickness? That is very good. Floyd Standifer the Fourth, joining as a member. Thank you, Floyd. Good to see you, buddy. Jimmy Riggin, Red Pill and Methods Twitter, Huawei banned in the USA. Yeah. They haven't they been banned for a little bit, Methods? I mean, I feel like I've heard that before, because I mean, they were originally the hand behind 5G, and President Trump knew that if they were the ones who built the infrastructure, then the Chinese would have a foot in our door, and things might not be okay. Probably would not be okay.
Right. Yeah. I want to say in the chat can help us out with it. There was a country that just backed out of a deal with Huawei because of all that stuff, and especially what's going on with China right now, because you can't exactly trust them. If anybody in the chat, just tag us. I saw that recently about that. But no, I agree. You know, Huawei's been through a lot. You can't really trust them. But apparently, you know, with all these old systems and stuff, like we talk about it, with like BlackRock being used in the stimulus bill and all that stuff, with them handling these things. These systems literally have things, you know, by the metaphorical, I'll just say balls. And, and you know, whether whether they're being used for good now or if things are different. Things are differently. Like we always talk about, this is a new stage in life and all that stuff. So no, step back. Be hesitant about things, but just pay attention. Use discernment, take your time with it. But definitely with the 5G stuff, I just need to take time, and I say this every time. I just need to take time and get into it.
Mm-hmm.
But chasing butterflies, man.
Yeah. Let's see. Thank you again, Jimmy Reagan. Cautious Observer says Bronx Zoo tiger tests positive for CV-19. My question is, who was the doctor or nurse that was brave enough to put that swab up the cat's nose? I'm calling BS. If they actually did test a cat, then I would imagine they probably would have tranked it before they did that.
Especially with Tiger King on and all that mess going on.
Yeah. There was another video on that subject that my buddy Corin sent to me. What's up, Corin? Hope you're watching. And it had to do with the testing. Now, I know I said something about testing. I had many people telling me that the testing was no good. And this doctor made this equivocation. He said that it would be like if you wanted to count the number of feet in America by counting the number of shoes. Okay? And then, instead of counting the shoes, you would actually count the shoelaces. But then it turns out that some people who have shoes don't actually have feet. Some people wear shoes that don't have shoelaces. And some people have multiple pairs of shoes. So you can't put it next to each other one to one. If you count the number of shoelaces, it does not give you an accurate count for the number of feet. He said that the test that we have right now that is being used works in the same way. And I don't know if that's because it's testing for the RNA or if it's a different thing, but also that the designer of this test said that it is not reliable in clinical settings in the way that they're using it. So this is, again, going back to the idea that there are many false positives, and it just throws the baby out with the bathwater. We've got no true actual idea of what's going on, and it's just, kind of gets to me.
Right, and that's why we always take our time. We don't have to be. I mean, Bongino says a lot. You don't have to be first. You just got to be right the best you can. Dopamine. Thank you for joining as a member. Darrow Bruno says, I drove by the Howard County MD Hospital, Johns Hopkins, Mercy Hospital, and the Field Hospital in Baltimore. Hospitals Arlington and Alexandria, Virginia. No activity at any facility. And then also, Son of a Green Card says, post 1009 for the wall reference. Glad you're feeling better. Thank you. 1009. I appreciate it. Yeah, that got posted a few times. I just failed on mentioning it.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks, chat, for helping us out tonight.
Yeah, you guys are the best. Okay, so this is a big post. We'll take a look through it here. The wall means more than you know. The fight for the wall is so much more. All right, we'll go through it in just a second, guys. But thank you, Son of a Green Card. Thank you, Darrow. The thing about the hospitals, with there being such little traffic there, if this really is going to turn into something horrific, and they are asking people not to come in unless it's life-threatening, then we're going to find out. I mean, in the next week or two, this is where it's going to be the crunch time, when we're really going to, learn what's happening and how many people are going to be sick and see where it goes. I pray to God that I do not have it. That would be the worst. And I hope that none of you here watching tonight are stricken with it either. And that's why I've recommended that we just follow the guidelines of what the president's saying. I mean, there's a reason that we get told to do this stuff. And I'm sure it has multiple purposes. This is the perfect time for us to see some real action. This is also a good idea if we want to make sure that whatever this is doesn't spread around, if it is communicable person to person. I really hope that somebody mentioned something earlier about putting up the map of 5G coverage over the map of CV-19 patients and says that it's identical. I know if it's the map I'm thinking about, it has an underlying framework for that map, and then it's used for 5G maps, and then it's also used for the CV19 map. So although it would look like it's identical, it's just going to show concentrations in essentially population centers, which is where it's going to end up. So definitely something that it's all that stale bunker air. That's funny. Daro says there was no activity or staff at the testing centers and limited staff inside. That is an excellent observation. That is something that is very strange. You would at least expect for there to be activity at the testing centers, either people working, people on hand in case people wanted to come in to get a test. But if the testing centers are empty, as well as the hospitals just being completely empty, Ashley says hospitals appear empty because visitors are not allowed. Right, and then you've also got people not coming in because they've been told to stay home and not blow it up. Let's see here. Let's go and take a look at this post, you guys. So post 1009, the wall means more than you know, and it includes a repost of post 1008. It was not supposed to be revealed. POTUS is not under a criminal investigation, not yet. Traitor. So that's talking about the plant. Manafort was a plant. Carter Page was a plant. Flynn is safe. Let's see. Ooh, Seth R. MS-13-187. Let's see. Block of the information by them. Okay, troops to the border. Clown black ops. Private funds. Raised how. Troops at border does what? Impact. To who? DIMS involved. MS-13 illegals roadblock. SEX traffic roadblock. Children roadblock. Drugs roadblock. Guns roadblock. China-Russia pass-through intel pull roadblock. Name we don't say Arizona roadblock. Jeff Flake Arizona roadblock. Big money terminate. The wall means more than you know. The fight for the wall is so much more. So I personally did not see a reference to 5G in there. It tells me that the wall is not just about keeping our borders closed so illegals don't get over, but all of these various things that were just mentioned. I don't see the 5G connection. If it's what I'm thinking of, it was the serial brain decode, which included links to other things that were happening at the time. So yeah, I'm gonna go back and try to find the And We Know video, and then I can watch it and we can talk about it in another show, guys. Michael Webb, thanks for joining as a member. Scotty Dubs says, RP, do you have issues with allergies? I'm not sure where you live, but where I am, everything is covered with pollen. It can make you sick. I am allergic to things, but I've never been diagnosed. I just know when I get sick and after I see things like that. But this is an interesting fact, guys. I grew up as a child. I was like perpetually stuffed up. I couldn't breathe. I had to blow my nose all the time. I was definitely allergic to a bunch of things. And then in high school, I got braces, and it just like opened up my my sinuses. And I haven't had many problems since then. But there are definitely things hanging on. Let's see. Social Observer says, Texas governor said, we might have to be vaxxed before we go back to work. Disgusting. Abbott was doing great not releasing prisoners and ending abortions. Yeah. I think that's a terrible idea. And I know that we've all heard about the plan that Bill Gates has in order to chip people so that they can be verified as having received this vaccination. Well, I'm going to suggest that everyone here take part in a matter of civil disobedience. If they try to force us to do this thing, then I am not going to do it. It's up to you guys if you want to accept something like that, but I can tell you right now, I cannot see how that's a good thing, and there's no way that I'm going to let that happen. Red Pill Doc says, they are getting us ready for disclosure. Find the Colace is for aliens commercial. Much more. Decoding now. All right, thanks, Red Pill Doc. Gary Trabant says, QPost 1009's wall means more than you know. Thank you. Yep. Son of a Green Card says, a case happened where I work. Someone returning from vacation. They were told to quarantine, but their spouse, who did not travel but obviously shares a home with them, was told to go back to work. Very fishy. That is incredibly fishy, and it makes no sense to me. There's so much happening that makes no logical sense, you guys. And that is why everybody is questioning it. That's why everybody is, looking for some answers. I have no idea why they would do that. Why would they have someone who you live in your home with quarantine, but then you yourself would not quarantine? Doesn't make any sense.
Right. No, that happened. All those kids that went to the beach for spring break or Mardi Gras or whatever, and they're like, oh, we're going to party anyways. Do you remember that on the news?
No. I mean, I remember seeing footage of people saying, I'm not going to let CV-19 wreck my spring break.
Right. Yeah. There was footage of them hanging out at the beach. And then I just saw an article earlier. I wish I had it handy. That they said like hundreds of people are coming down with it now that went on that vacation.
Wow.
It happened. I'll say this, a coworker of my wife's work now has it. That's the closest I've came to it in my real life. And luckily she was on vacation. Like we said, she went ahead and took a vacation during this time.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, she wasn't around it. But every employee that worked with that person has been sent home. And of course, they did the cleaning and everything they needed to at her work. But she would have literally been working right next to the guy.
Dude.
And now his entire family has it.
I need to say thank you to Greg Gilman. What's up, Grun? Thank you, buddy. Suzanne Rabins, and also to Jim Outland. And all three of you guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. And then Lisa Kamler also joined as a member. So here's the truth. I think that, I believe that the people who are reporting on this, maybe even the people in the government, don't fully understand what this is, where it came from. I think they have a really good idea. And when President Trump was in that press conference a week or so back, and he said that we had somebody we could blame, and many people would say that we have a great idea where it came from. I think that he's very, very sure about where it came from. But I think that we probably did not have anybody firsthand on the ground in that lab or in the area. I think that it's a lot easier for people from China to put spies here in America than it is for America to put spies over there in China. I've never heard of us inserting anybody over there, and maybe that's because they're spies and they've done such a good job keeping it quiet. But I can't think of any stories of the Chinese catching people or, charging them with spying for America. But we get spies all the time over here. What do you think, Methods?
Right. I mean, and I even look at it when the mainstream media was like, all right, we'll talk about the lab over there, where they're trying to say it came from. But they're real quick to have it in the headlines about it being accidental. And with it being accidental, to me, it's like, okay, if they have to talk about it, because we've heard rumors of that being the case for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen other people speculate that as much, but they're quickly to say, okay, that's fine. But, and then, they're telling a story that they want to be said to kind of take people in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the whole spy thing left and right, I mean, you could say the same thing for social media and how we've been talking about with, infiltrators, whether it be this movement, MAGA in general. People are going to be, playing their roles and all that part. I mean, I had a Methods bot that was me that we tracked all the way. I think it was like Belarus or something that was being me.
You're kidding.
Yeah. And I was apparently shilling for, who was it? Elon Musk, to some website that's obviously trying to get your private information to steal your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But they literally replied to me like morons. And I was like, well, wait a second, that's my avatar. and all that stuff. So, I mean, to that point, I mean, if we're going to talk about how bad, the propaganda comes out of China, just as far as like that stuff goes, then we're in the midst of like the worst information warfare throughout this whole thing ever since the election for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as, infiltrators, all that mess, I haven't heard anything either about Americans being caught in China. But hopefully we're just that good.
Yeah.
But interesting times, man.
I think specifically with the issue in this area, I think that it's very unlikely that we had anybody on the ground there, just from what I'm hearing behind the scenes.
But also not to cut you off, but also if you see the writing on the wall, we've been essentially, tied to China by all the previous administrations to a degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even a lot of the people that are in government now. So why do we need to be over there spying when we were essentially, connected to them, as a same team for a while for as far as deep state goes?
Yeah, I think that there was definitely a flow of information taking place, but it was a drain from America to over there. And I think, they knew exactly what they were doing. They sold our country out, Yeah, that's the bad. Let's see. So Elon Musk's satellite is a wall of 5G. I've seen 34 go the UK horizon to horizon. Wow. Oh, yes. Das Roberts, agents killed because of the leaked Hillary emails. I knew that some CIA, clowns in America.
Oops.
Some clowns in America agents were taken out. And that's right. That was the last thing that I ever heard about them. Quite some time ago. Rhonda Lemker, thank you for that. Also, Bobbin, thank you for that as well. And Lisa Kamler, thanks for joining as a member. D's Nuts Be Dragon says, COVID ruined my Joe Biden greeting. I hate social distancing now.
Love it.
Son of a Green Card says, a case happened where I work. Oh, yes, we said that. Yes. Yeah, very fishy. Very, very fishy. All right, you guys, we're going to have Sam Tripoli on in just a few moments. He's going to be joining the call. If you guys wouldn't mind, please like and share this broadcast. He's going to be here with us from 7 to 8 o'clock. We've got 3,500 people watching and 1.4 thousand likes. He's texting me right now. Same link, brother.
Is he texting and saying he's watching the presser instead of our show?
I want to say I'm really happy that we've got as many people as we do, 3,500 people watching with the president going.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. We want to do this. And thank you for everybody understanding on me not being on the show last week. I had some stuff come up in my real life with family I needed to handle. Thank you to White Hat for stepping up and filling in for me on all that.
Shut up, dude. Not you guys. The guy in my comedy's dead.
All right.
On that note, we welcome Sam to the show.
Comedy is not dead.
Welcome to the show, Sam. Are you talking to your wife?
I don't even know if these go the right way. Here we go.
Who's saying comedy is dead?
I don't know if you remember my good friend Ryan, Off the Grid Ryan from my show.
Yeah.
He's been nice enough to help us with the kids. And he is in a stage of delirium right now. And he is just yelling and screaming that comedy is dead while we watch Fighter and the Kid. So I don't know what's going on.
No problem. Thank you to Virginia Palmer. She says, please know I'm praying for both you and Methods. I appreciate it. I'm sure Methods does as well. And Decoded has joined as a member. Sam, thanks for joining us today, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me. I'm a big fan of yours. I love you very much. You're
Likewise.
A good man. And anytime we can doc and talk, I love it.
Me as well. So you're recently a new father. You have twin girls, right?
Yes, my friend. 2 baby girls, Ghost and Ninja Tripoli.
The coolest names I've ever heard, Ghost and Ninja.
Men love it. Girls are like, what? What did you name your daughters? What is wrong with you? They have actual names, but on the internet at this moment, because their dad likes to say crazy things, I'm going to allow them to announce when they want to put their names out, and that's so. Their second middle name, because their dad has 2 middle names, is Ghost and Ninja.
Okay.
Well, from the end on the world, we can appreciate that. Let them decide when they want to be real life names.
I don't have a lot of regrets in my career. One is I sometimes want to. I kind of wish I'd come up with a stage name and that I could have my regular name in case I ever wanted to go do something else. But
sure.
Luckily, I'm not going to need that, and I didn't. But so I just wanted to give them options.
Well, that's cool. I mean, at least you're not allowing them to choose their genders.
I pray to God that I sometimes am like so happy that I had girls, because it seems like people who are having boys will eventually have girls at this point. And I'm so old, dude. I do joke it. Nobody laughs at this, but I still think it's hilarious. But I'm so old. I remember a time where if you dressed your son as a daughter, that meant he was going to be a serial killer. Like that's how old I am. Because I remember studying serial killers. Because in college, you used to think like, "Oh man, I just want to just study it, man. That's some crazy." And then you start realizing that like they had whack job mothers.
Oh yeah.
And at some point, many of them got dressed as girls, and it's just and like. So we're all from like kind of this conspiracy world. And one of the big things seems to be a way to kind of like humble somebody is to make them dress like women, which, and again, I live in LA, so I have trans friends. I have no problems with what consenting adults do with consenting adults, but that seems to be this theme of where you make these alphas dress like women and you parade them around, and that's kind of this initiation thing. So I just find it very interesting that we have this small segment of idiots that seem to think it's a good idea to do all that stuff. Now, I'm also not a part of the camp that thinks it's, someone wants to, at some point, when they're teenagers or when they start to want to be who they want to be, then that's their own thing. I don't think anybody should be shooting anything into their bodies until they're 18 years old. And when they hit 18, light yourself up like a Christmas tree. I don't care. But up until that moment, there was a time in the early 2000s, late 90s, that there was this uproar led by John McCain about high school kids shooting steroids, and people couldn't come to grips with the thought of children shooting something in their body that could affect their natural growth. Yeah, here we are I haven't heard as much this year, but more like 2018, 2019, where just crazy people like, just shoot my 8-year-old up with hormones. It just makes no sense.
No, it makes absolutely no sense. And the movement that's going on among the left here in this country and across the world today to allow children to make life-changing decisions like that, it's complete insanity. There was a time when we told children what to do because we know what's good for them. They don't know what's good for them. And you have that situation like with the mom and the dad and the son, where she tells the kid that, oh, you want to be a girl? And he's like, I want to be a girl. And then the dad, can you imagine being a parent and you and your wife split up, and then she goes nuts and tries to change the gender of your child? He's so lucky that he got her away from him.
Well, I do this joke again, nobody laughs at. That seems to be the theme of the jokes I'm telling right now. But, it's like, I always tell women, like, you can't change bad boys. Bad boys become bad boyfriends, bad husbands, bad fathers, and the only thing you end up changing is the diaper of the kid that you're raising yourself. You know what I'm saying? So the same thing is about crazy. You can't fix crazy. So, the whole running joke forever has been that crazy women are better in the bedroom because they're just crazy, right? But remember, if you get somebody crazy pregnant, they're still crazy, okay? And so that's the whole thing, is that, these children come into this world and we're supposed to be there and we're supposed to be protecting them. And sometimes, unfortunately, that is not. So I'm letting my friend Ryan crash in my house, help with kids. And he's a vegetarian, and all he watches is animals getting murdered on National Geographic. I mean, it is horrifying to watch. One episode is just like baby animals being kidnapped by other animals and getting eaten. And I'm feeding my kid and I'm watching these poor babies getting. I'm like, dude, you're traumatizing me right now.
Yeah. I can see that happening. I remember being a small child, and because when I was a kid, we didn't have cable until I was in middle school. It's like we watched PBS, and to see nature with David Attenborough, a herd of water buffalo, the baby getting separated and stalked by a crowd of cheetahs. That's no fun. I didn't like watching that as a kid.
This wild boar is running from this pack of wolves, and now it's turned the tables, and now it's like effing up this wolf, and now I'm rooting for the wolf to get away. It's really just snuff porn. It's animal snuff porn, right. And it's hard for me to watch.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm hijacking your show. I do this every time I come in. I just start yelling at everybody. I want to hear what you guys want to talk about.
It makes it easier. Well, Sam, just in case people here in the audience are not familiar with you, I don't know how likely that is, but it's good to give an introduction. Tell us who you are.
My name is Sam Tripoli. I'm the host of 2 podcasts. I have Tinfoil Hat with Sam Tripoli, which is a spiritual skeptic show, better known as conspiracy shows. And I like to just interview people and let them go off, and then let the crowd decide what they like, what they don't like. The listeners we call the swarm. And after every show, I wish the guests, may the swarm be with you. And if you fake the funk on a nasty dunk, they're going to let you know. Okay. I also have a Punch Drunk Sports podcast, and that is one of the original comedy sports podcasts. It's now just over 8 years old. Myself, Jason Tebow, Ari Shafir when he's not upsetting black people, and then Fight Nanny, and we just talk sports very little and just about our lives. And I just started a brand new YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and you put in Broken Simulation, you'll find my new just comedy channel. I'm just putting comedy on that one, separating conspiracy from comedy. And then my Patreon is patreon.com/tinfoil hat. I do what I call a daily dose, Monday through Friday. I do 20-minute hit it and quit it, where I just discuss the whatever's big in the news that week, that day, within the conspiracy world, and anything at Sam Tripoli, Tripoli, on any of the social media. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, is this the channel with 31 subscribers? Like, it's brand new?
It's literally brand new. I don't know why it says 31 subscribers, because we just went over 1,000, but literally it's about 2 days old.
I am going to have to figure it out. Maybe you can send me a link after the show, and I'll make sure I subscribe.
I'll send it to you. It's basically just Broken Simulation, but that's fine. I'll send it to you. Thank you, Derek.
Yeah, for some reason, there's a channel that says Broken Simulation, but it's not yours. It's somebody else's.
Now, as soon as I tweeted out the show today, somebody replied talking about that, so I'm going to go grab that link right now.
Thank you, dude. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Appreciate that.
It's my pleasure. Sam's a great guy. He puts out some really quality content. So if you're not familiar with him, I highly suggest everybody go and look. And one of the things that I love about you, and it's something that I try to do on the channel myself, is that you have conversations with people that you don't necessarily agree with, and you don't care what it is they have to say. I mean, the more interesting, the better, in my opinion. Like, last night I had a guy on, the Tim Canova, who ran against Debbie Wasserman Schultz down in Florida. He's a progressive. Obviously, we've got some differing views on things, but when you have the ability to have a conversation with people like that, you can come and meet in the middle. This is what's missing from our society today. Too many people look at someone across the other side of the aisle and they say, "I'm not going to talk to you because it's not going to make any use." There's nothing that we can have to say to each other. But I think that's totally wrong. I think we need to recapture that here in America and across the globe.
My opinion is if what you believe is so true, then you shouldn't be afraid of somebody who doesn't agree with you. Mm-hmm. And, the more you talk about people, the more you talk with people who you don't agree with, you'll start to understand you really do have common ground that you can. And again, I say this all the time. I am not here just to be friends with and talk with people I agree with. I find that very boring.
Yeah.
I don't get angry. Sometimes we're humans, and someone says something so ridiculously stupid, you can get upset about it. But I try not to like a flamethrower my life. Now, on Twitter, I tweet like hecklers, and I love just serial killing these people because I've been doing this my whole life. I'm dead on the inside. Nothing you say is going to hurt my feelings. I'm just going to sit there and do it with you. But I'm here to talk facts. I just had Adam Green on.
Oh,
and people
he's been coming hard at the community recently.
yeah, he is, and I get it, man. At the base, Adam is a really good guy. It's like I put his episode on. I put his episode up on Vimeo, right? Vimeo, and I pay for premium, like a premium account. I'm paying them, and they took it down. And, my YouTube just got monetized, so I had to take it down, and I texted him. He called me up. We had a talk, and he was like, yeah, dude, I don't want you to get in trouble. You just had kids. He's a good guy. He got called a neo-Nazi. The dude's not a neo-Nazi. At his base, he really cares about his country and the Constitution and outside influences in the in our government, dual citizenship, Jared Kushner basically being a foreign asset in there. Him and I would sit down, if we list the names of who we believe are up to no good, we probably have the same names. It's just the label of who it is. I at my heart believe it is Jesuits and Saturnists. That's my real belief. Even with Epstein, we saw, later on it came out he worshiped Baal and all that stuff. And that if you were listening to Bill Cooper, he talked about all the time about how Judaism, Islam, Christianity, these people use them as masks to walk amongst us. That behind closed doors, he called it Luciferianism. I just think Satanism is a psyop created so we don't look at Saturnism, and that's a whole different discussion. So that's my truth. But I'll have Adam on, and I got I got people hit me up all the time going, why would you have that guy? I know that that's not true. I had a couple people hit me up, not a lot of people.
Well, when you're in our position, a couple of people, it's what sticks in your mind when you start seeing that stuff.
Dude, I'll do stand-up, brother, in a packed room. People going nuts. I see one person not laughing, and I can't not focus on that one person. So I do it. And people are like, why? So why'd you have a neo-Nazi on? I go, because you won't have the conversations. And he's not a neo-Nazi. I want to restate that. I don't think that at all. He's really just very passionate, and and there is scripture, just like every religion has religious. Listen, every religion has religious whack jobs.
Sure.
The difference between the Jews is like their crazy people have better day jobs. Okay. Right. That's the difference. They're functional crazy, whereas everybody else is just like way out there. So, it's just like, it's hard to do because, what we're seeing right now, and you please tell me to shut up because
no. My voice is screwed. Keep going.
Okay. What we have right now is real fascism happening right now. Not like this dudes with tiki torches and khaki pants on fascism. That's laziness, because what they're doing is they're looking at the byproduct of fascism, which is once corporations and the government merge to oppress us all down. The BIPOC is that really disenfranchised people are looking to blame somebody that they could deal with instead of actually looking, because everybody gets Stockholm syndrome, and they start looking at their leaders as the guys taking care of them, and then looking at the powerless as the people that are the problem. And that is a byproduct of fascism. Fascism is straight up what Bill Gates is trying to do.
Yes.
And that's my honest opinion. And I don't know where. Okay. So I like to have conversations. I was just ranting, and I just didn't know where I was going.
You're fine, Sam. No, that's the whole thing. Like we were talking about it earlier in the show about it's how you present the conversations itself. Like people need to be able to have their own opinions, right? You need to be able to have discussion, debate. People want to listen to it. But it's just like we have to make sure, especially on what we try to cover, I've said something on a show literally being against it, and I guess the person heard just the part of me saying it and then ran to Twitter and said that I was talking about it and all that stuff. You just have to be careful about how things are going. But we love, personally, I know Red Pill and I both love conversations and debate, even when it's just complete opposite points of views, and we need to have that. It just needs to be displayed as such, and I think you do a great job with that.
Thank you. It is amazing. I mean, like when I have people like Dr. Shiva on, like an MIT with like 90 degrees, and I flunked first grade, and he's like, that's a great question. I'm like, I don't know how we got here, but I'm happy we made it. And like I never ever thought it would get. And, in the spectrum of all these giant podcasts, it's just a tiny little podcast, but it's resonated with a lot of people. And I'm very happy with it. And, I think the reason it resonates is because I'm trying my hardest to, keep it as pure as possible in terms of like what its intent is. And that's to have a real discussion and give people like, intelligent conversation. I think we all learned from Rogan's podcast, JRE, that people are hungry for real talk, and the podcast game and the internet game has killed mainstream media.
Oh, yeah.
And I have whole reasons behind what this coronavirus means. I mean, like, look at two things that are dying. Like, nobody's watching the news, and this is something I was just thinking about today. Nobody's joined the military. They can't get anybody to join the military. Now, if you take all these jobs away, what are your options? Jail or the military? And I think you'll see that happen. I mean, like, something's going on here. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But it's not what they're telling. I mean, the Bronx Zoo just tweeted that a tiger got the coronavirus.
We saw that. Oh man.
I mean, and nobody goes, we're just crazy. This is just crazy. They're almost like they're doing like heat checks on how deep of bull crap can they put out before somebody starts to call them on it.
Yeah, I feel you there. Let me say a couple of quick thank yous. Kalin Jones, late as usual, fam. Love you guys. Katie Jones. Thank you, Katie. Chris Hawkins says, I have the coolest anonymous name ever. I like my name and I like my face. That's why I always lead with my chin. All right, good stuff. White Hat said, test. Yes, you are working, White Hat. Candace Estav says, V is the reason for gender confusion. MRC5 is male and WI38 is female. I don't know what that means. We're going to have to get more information.
First grade.
Yeah. BHEC1216 says, you can't fix crazy, but God, you sure can medicate it. D's Nuts Be Dragon says, Sam, thanks for the laugh. I hate your face, bro.
Been there, done that.
Yep.
That's my whole thing right now. Finish your stuff now.
Yeah. Truth Seeker says, speaking of Bill Cooper, do you think what he talks about will be involved in D-Class, where we go one, we go all? Say what you were going to say, and then we'll go with some of those.
Right now, I'm, we're seeing this kind of push in this pandemic that we're going through, where there's this push to like social justice warrior, the name of this virus, and people are getting angry that, they're calling it the Chinese virus. And then I'm seeing Asians complaining. And listen, I don't think you should harass anybody. I don't think you should harass Asians. The Asians you see on the street had as much say in this as you do. Sure. Once again, it's the base that gets the crap and not the people on the top. Okay. But it's delusional to sit here and think anyone gives any crap about political correctness when everybody's losing their jobs.
Oh, definitely. The
racial slurs are going to be flown. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying that's where it came from. To say that there's something wrong, like Chanel Rion's point about, would you call Chinese food that came from China, Chinese food? Is that somehow all of a sudden racist? No, of course it's not. This virus originated there. To call it that, it's completely factual.
The more and more information is coming out, I'm being honest with you, brother. I think this is just the enemy of my enemy is my brother, and it's just like the more and more I'm starting to look into this, more and more I think there is part of the U.S. government and there is part of China that's kind of working together because we're starting to see this movement for this kind of like 1984 world that we're moving into. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody, but it is possible because I've had two amazing researchers on, Helen of Destroy, and then I had the guys from the Edge of Wonder, and like they both literally came with the exact opposite take with extremely reliable information, which makes me think there might be a little bit of truth in both camps.
Well, tell me the hot take. What is that? Tell me the hot take. I mean, how do you theorize the possibility that the American government could be working with the Chinese government to create this pandemic?
Well, let's get into like what happened with Solomon and Iran. Like there's a real discussion that even though Iran and the U.S. don't get along, that Trump had brokered some kind of deal to take that dude out because he was causing unrest in Iran. So here again, the enemy of my enemy is my brother. Yeah. So we got that. So now let's take a look at what's going on in the U.S. I mean, in both countries. Now, I'm not saying, and I'm being honest with you, I'm not saying Trump is part of that. I mean, I really 100, it's like every day, every hour, I should just have a tracker that is an app that tells people what I feel about Trump at that moment, because based on the information I'm getting in, it sometimes sways. I do believe it's not business as usual.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know what I know either Trump is like totally trying to mess the system up, or he could be a crime boss, and crime bosses want to run the thing, and crime bosses like their neighborhood clean, but they also want to run the action. It could be crime bosses versus satanic pedophiles. I don't know. I know the information that Q gives out is real. What it represents, I do not understand, because every day I'm getting flooded with this, and this, that again, it changes from moment to moment. I do believe the information's real. I learned from Q that Facebook, the stuff we don't like that Facebook's doing, the stuff we don't like that Google's doing, the stuff about North Korea. Dude, Q told us that, the Catholic Church and the Pope are going to have a bad march. I mean, we can just go instance to instance to instance
proof
in which this information was real. What it represents, sometimes I don't know, okay? Because, I'll get really excited about stuff that Trump's doing, and I could sit here and tell you the stuff that I don't like Trump. I feel like I have to do this every time. Probably not in this show, because we kind of all have the same view on stuff. I could sit there and list the things I don't like that Trump has. I think he has a little bit of a Zionist problem. I think his daughter's working in precognitive crime, the stuff going on in Yemen. And yes, the stuff before that is, Barack Obama was just as much into the Yemen genocide as what's going on right here. I could list it forever and stuff, but I can sit here and tell you the stuff that I love that he is doing. And, and that is trade wars with China. I mean, people actually look, if you ever want to know, like, some people might not have the Rona, but they have full-blown Stockholm syndrome, okay? Okay?
You're right,
and the way that they just sit there and they think it is perfectly fine for China to give tariffs on our goods, and, like, we don't tariff their goods because they either own stocks or they're completely brainwashed. Getting out of the Paris Climate Accord. Great move. And dude, I don't care how much you hate Trump, you cannot deny his full-on fight against pedophilia.
Oh yeah,
100%. Yeah.
Okay. And then the death of the mainstream media, the death of these technocrats and what they're getting away with. That would never have happened without Trump. Now, it's possible that the movement has gotten bigger than him, and that whatever he represents, we're past that because we have all this information. But whatever Q is, it has, if it isn't what we think it is, okay, then this has to be being perpetrated by something so advanced we don't even understand it, because it's literally destroyed all their institutions that they took decades, if not centuries, to build. The mainstream media, the two-party system, all this stuff is dead. So why would they destroy it? Either they got an AI that's played every scenario out, and this is a scenario that works, or they got some like looking glass technology, and I don't know, because you have to believe in the bizarro before you believe that this stuff isn't real, and that's my god honest truth.
No,
yelling at you right now.
Sam, you're on fire. I'm watching the chat. People are loving it. That's exactly right. Like, I mean, if Q is somebody is a situation that's supposed to destroy all of us, and it's putting us all and hurting us to certain things and all that stuff, labeling us or whatever, then why would they destroy every single platform that they built with the mainstream media, the two part, like what you were just saying? So the idea, that's why we tend to believe it, because of the direction that it's taken people like us who are still going to think for ourselves. If Q came out right now and said, you need to do X, Y, and Z, and it has to do with breaking the law, breaking our oath, and breaking our religions, we're not going to do it. Sorry, Q, we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
But the fact that we have to step back and be vigilant about these certain things is good, but we are going to still follow along. But Q's just a fraction of what's going on in real life here. And that's why I'm glad that people like you come on these shows and bring up the other topics that aren't brought up with Q. It needs to be talked about.
Yeah. Let me just say thank you to Social Observer. He says, is it healthy for Q peeps to fight InfoWars peeps? I don't want to fight anybody, so, I mean, I'm not going to call anybody there out.
Oh, I've been attacked. I've been, for just joking about Alex, I've been ravaged on Twitter. So
Filled with Hope says, I'm half Chinese. I'm Asian. It's the shy sickness. And then Berserker Bear says, comfy Sunday gravy. That's right. So yeah, what your argument there, Sam, as to why this is a legitimate phenomenon is on point. I cannot see a world where the destruction of all of those things that they have worked for centuries to go ahead and build, and the opening up of people's minds to the possibility of what has truly took place, how much they've been lied to, everything that's been going on, how any of that would be advantageous to these people, to the people that we're working against. So I do believe, and with all of that, and then on top of that, all the proofs, everything that we've seen come to pass over and over and over again, I feel like we're in a holding pattern right now. We're waiting for that other shoe to drop. And, everything inside me says that right now, whatever is happening with the CV-19, the virus, whatever it is, this is the perfect time to do it. And President Trump could get a lot done now that we've got the national emergency declared and all these additional extra powers. All it would take is a couple of, executive orders, and then bam, we get problem solved.
I agree with that. I mean, this whole thing with the underground bases and tunnels, it's eerily similar to the reaction that people had with Pizzagate. I'm not going one way or the other, but I am hoping. I'm hoping that people are showing maps of Utah where the earthquake epicenters fit right along the lines of where the underground tunnels are.
Oh wow.
I'm getting a lot of pushback by people, Crowdsource the Truth is doing great work, but he's telling me there's no proof about it and all that. I'm not doing, I go, okay, man, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, like, that's a big thing about me is like, I'm not afraid to be wrong. I'll put out I go, this is my feelings and this is how I feel. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So far I've only been wrong about the Houston Astros wearing a wiretap during a celebration. And I mean, in 4 years, that's the only thing I've been wrong. Now, I don't know if this Central Park hospital is about these children. I don't know that. I just know there's some weird pictures coming out, in particular, like, the Texas National Guard standing next to all these baby cribs and pens, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. And it's just eerily similar to when everybody told us we were crazy about Pizzagate in 2016, and then fast forward to 2019, where 5 different associates of the Clinton Global Initiative were tried for child sex trafficking. So I'm never in the camp of that's not possible ever.
Oh, of course.
Look, I never say never in this business we have. I go, it's not necessarily my thing, but I will listen to your stuff. And that's really what it is. It's like when I have conversations with you guys, or I have the Edge of Wonder guys on, it's like, those are what I call black belt discussions, because no one's head's exploding when Michelle Obama's a man. Right around. It's like, it's not my thing. It's not my thing, but I'll hear what you got to say.
Right.
Doesn't mean, but my head isn't going to go explode and go nuts. I only go a little nuts when people are just regurgitating mainstream media talking points, and they tend to be goldfish. And by goldfish, I mean they only see what's in front of their face. They're like a fish in a bowl, and they just see what's right here. They don't remember anything that just passed and all the L's that the mainstream media has taken. And this coronavirus has all the same earmarks of weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
Sure.
The same people. And if I hear people go, oh, I'm not supposed to believe experts. Oh, you mean the experts who told you that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, when we all realized that was complete and utter BS by the deep state and the neocons? But, go ahead and just keep believing these people are lying to you.
Yeah,
right. I mean,
absolutely.
that's the whole thing when it comes to like the ramifications of putting stuff out without having it being factual, right? We learn from all these mistakes. If we call out the media left and right about them lying to us about information they should know is wrong, and then all the things that happen with Pizzagate, that's why we're all withholding judgment and just paying attention. We don't need to be the first one to point it out. We just need to point out the truth.
Yeah, I like to put out real or fake and let people discuss it, when I get something that's kind of interesting. But it's like, I mean, like, here it is, dude. We're what 3 weeks into this thing?
Yep.
And my original statements, I stand by. And I feel for people like Dr. Drew who are just basically saying we're overreacting to this. And now he's getting attacked for it,
right,
for just blatantly not pushing out hysteria. And I will stand behind Dr. Drew. He's a very nice man. I've met him a bunch of times. He's a very nice person. Him and Mike Catherwood are G amongst G's. And I'll defend him the whole way. He has said nothing wrong. And your feelings can kiss it because, we're dealing with like the reaction to this virus. This virus will never ever come close to damage being done.
Oh yeah.
Compared to what our reactions are right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've wanted to be as conservative as I could be talking about this, and there was a lot of people at the very beginning that were screeching that I wasn't saying it was a pandemic. I wasn't saying the world was going to end. I said make sure you're prepared for anything, but keep your wits about you. I mean, like the worst thing that we can possibly do is to cause panic and have people running in the streets with torches and fire and just freaking out. But I mean, like, I have no idea what's going to happen. But I know that if we keep our cool, things are going to be a lot better.
Well, I mean, that's been the intent, though, right? We see what the other side, quote unquote, is playing here. They want this hysteria. They want these death toll numbers to be up, even when, we don't know if these deaths are directly related to the Kung flu or not. But they need that narrative because they're already wanting to do the investigations. And they're already wanting to blame Trump for this stuff. Mm-hmm. And, this directly relates to the election. And they want to keep doing these things. So that's what makes it even more suspect on why, like, I can't agree or disagree on what's the right amount of hysteria, the right way to go about it. I'm not a professional in these things. But I do know that they are using this every which way. Never let a crisis go to waste type stuff.
For sure, dude. Go on, sorry.
I just need to say thanks to Social Observer. Oh, I'm sorry. Berserker Bear, Comfy Sunday Gravy. Son of a Green Card, Payne's Angels did a great video on this. Truth, with or without Q, is still the truth. Good point. Social Observer says Project Bluebeam created holograms for the war. Who's to say that our favorite Anon is not a Zog psyop? Saving Israel for last, just asking. I don't think that it's a psyop. I think that if it was a psyop, it wouldn't have been... Okay. Let me back that up. I think that by the nature of what Q is doing, the way that it's been rolled out, I think it's a psyop by the good guys. It is designed to give positive things to us and our movement to wake people up, but it certainly is a psychological operation on the cabal and the people that we're fighting against because they're paying attention. They're seeing what's happening and they know what's coming for them, and I think they're all scared. KC Anon says MK Ultra frequencies 2 gigahertz to 5 gigahertz. 5G frequencies are 700 megahertz to 6 gigahertz. Baby Yoda, good night, buddy. Glad you were here. D's Nuts Be Dragon said Michelle Obama on Ellen. It was the Nuts show. I mean, I think everybody remembers that. That's going to be a difficult one to put down. Sam, did you see the announcement the Queen made earlier? Ivanka just tweeted out a clip from it. But
I haven't seen it. What was it?
Here, I'll play it. It's only, you're not going to be able to hear it, but it's 25 seconds long. This is what I'll do. I will do the screen share, and we'll go ahead and play it. Then everybody will hear it. Let me see. And there we go. Go to the Queen. Share.
Oh, here it is.
And our instinctive compassion. While we have faced challenges before, this one is different.
I can't hear it, but that's fine.
This time we join with all nations across the globe in a common endeavor.
You can't hear it?
No, just give me what she's basically saying.
She's basically saying that we're going to solve this together. All nations are going to band together and everything's going to be okay. I don't really know. We will succeed, and that success will belong to all of us. Now, she doesn't appear to be sick. I mean, wasn't she just basically she's supposed to be getting sick because she was with Boris Johnson and a couple other people. this is one of the things that, makes it so difficult for people because we're not really getting the full picture on all this stuff.
Dude, this is crazy. These videos have been coming out by these guys who are like medical professionals, Harvard trained, talking about viruses versus exomes, EXOSOMES, exomes, I think they're called, and how doctors can't tell the difference between a virus and an exome. And for you don't know what exomes are, it's where your body or these cells excrete toxins out.
Yeah.
And what happened is back in the day when they discovered them, they thought they were foreign things, or that's what we were told. They were foreign, but they're really not, and that they're actually naturally occurring, and it's the way your body cleanses itself. Now, the question is, well, which basically means that it's almost impossible to. This is what the videos are telling me. This is not medical advice. I'm just telling you information that I've learned, in that. That means it's impossible to pass a virus by touch. So there's this very famous experiment that was cited by many people, a couple in these videos, one by Eddie Bravo, my best friend who I love very much. He has talked about this, about how these doctors took these patients with the flu and took very healthy people. And then they one time they did something where they just was breathing on them and coughing on them, and they waited to see if they got sick, and they did not get sick. And then they did another experiment where they basically swabbed the mouth of the sick person and then swabbed it into their the healthy person's mouth, and they still did not get sick. And they did it all the way up to basically they were making out with each other to see if they could pass it, and still they did not pass the virus. So basically the only way they discovered that they could actually pass a virus is to basically through blood and to inject you into it. So the question becomes, how would you explain when a whole group of people get sick? And this guy had a great explanation. He goes, it's somewhat like in animals mating season, where there's this one time of season where the body just creates this action. And it could be, and again, I'm just telling you what I've seen, done my research, and that means watched a couple YouTube videos where they're basically saying that it would be basically cleansing season. You're as mammals, as a group of animals, we during this time of the year, our bodies go to defense and clean us of toxins. And if these power elites knew that, what a great time to call something flu season.
Okay. And
then we start getting to the point where we start looking at then how do you explain the HIV drug, the HIV virus? And that's, if you really study that thing, it starts out in San Francisco, in which a flyer there, you can actually find a flyer which told these gay men that they could come and get free, I believe, Hep B or Hep C shots to deal with it. And what actually was happening was they were getting injected with this virus.
Wow.
So it's very interesting. And so let's take a look at this, right? It kind of fits into this whole thing with again, I mean, here we are in this weird thing, what is space, what is nuclear weapons, all this stuff that's kind of nobody ever actually sees, but we have these very, very, very expensive movements in which the elites make a lot of money in it to, and again, I'll throw climate change in there as well. So we got climate change, we have space, we have nuclear weapons, and we have viruses, in which makes trillions of dollars for these people, even though none of us ever actually see it.
Take it for granted. Yeah. I like that. I know where you're going. But that is, it's incredible though about the San Francisco thing. I did not know about that. Need to say thank you to Berserker Bear. He says, speaking of Bluebeam, Sam's take on the Paradise Fires. We'll talk about that in a sec. Jared in Seattle says either everything is possible or nothing is. Archangel Michael. Kelly Lynn says, I'm an NP. The virus is very real and serious. We need to be careful, but there are people who will take advantage of that. Stay safe and stay sane. Andre Hinojza, have you seen Trump's book page 188 talking about his Kabbalist teacher? The way to the top. Kabbalist believes God created the world with letters and numbers and Q equals 17. I mean, I'm familiar with it, but I'm not specifically familiar with that. Richard Everett says, if all the truths that have been exposed via our favorite Anon, Q, Tom Fitton, all of those like you, weren't exposed, we would be writing a whole different history. We would be living a different history. God wins, can't go wrong with the truth. Vader's Force Ghost says, liked D's Nuts Be Dragon and Baby Yoda. God bless the USA, the president, and Red Pill 78. Love you, brother. Thank you. Rockin' Robbie says, your thoughts on the purge? Are we the target? And Vader's Force Ghost says, also, God bless you, methods.
Much love, bud.
So we've talked about the Paradise Fires before, Sam, and you've done numerous shows on it. What do you think really happened? Because one of the weirdest things I ever heard was that supposedly there was a race of benevolent aliens that were living there in Paradise, California, and it was a hit job on them specifically. Have you ever had somebody on your show talking about that?
Nobody's talked about that, but I have had discussions with a lot of people, man. You want to hear something really creepy?
Yeah.
2 shows in a row, I had people who worked at PG&E come to my shows.
What? Like, oh, you're talking about like a live show?
Yeah, doing stand-up.
Okay.
I had 2 groups and this one group looked like ex-military guys. And I was like, okay, so obviously we're on somebody's radar, which is fine.
How'd you know they worked at PG&E? Did they have their badges on or something?
They go, hey, man, we work at PG&E.
Oh, put you on blast.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. They're like, yeah, man, we've been listening to you. And I'm like, oh, that's not good.
Oh, wow.
But as you know, PG&E was just found guilty of manslaughter, which adds to, my belief is that these were direct energy weapons to clear out some of the most expensive real estate in the world so that they could do a high-speed rail system in which Dianne Feinstein's husband was awarded half of $1 billion contract to do. And then you go to the Australian fires, and if you look at the path of those fires where it started, it's the same thing, those high-speed rail systems. Listen, to buy that land and to buy those houses would cost billions, if not trillions of dollars, unless it's deemed uninhabitable.
Yeah.
And what a great way to go in and basically I was born in Niagara Falls. If you a very old scandal long before a lot of kids know, it's called the Love Canal scandal.
Yeah.
In which Hooker Chemicals was dumping very expensive, dumping all these chemicals in barrels in the ground and then sold it, to another person to develop housing, So the reason I bring that up is like something can be condemned until somebody with a lot of money shows up.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's fine for living. And, and it gets kind of back to this whole thing that I'm seeing some people talking about how, I saw some African-American woman say that she's a communist. She's like, I'm not joking, I'm really a communist. And I just found that so interesting because if you study the history of communism, in particular, when they take away guns, which always happens, right? In China, Russia, the first people to be basically pushed to the side or eliminated altogether or basically turned into second-class citizens are women, ethnic minorities, and gays. Those are universally, those are the most powerless of the groups, and they get basically pushed to the fringes. And so I find it very interesting that people would do that. And the reason I bring that up is because, a lot of people don't want to look at what's going on with this virus as a full-on push for fascism, if not communism, And my whole opinion is you guys who are millionaires, you're not safe from billionaires because billionaires want all the millionaires' money. And like I said, millionaires want to be billionaires, billionaires want to be trillionaires, and trillionaires want to be Darth Vader. Okay? That's where it goes.
That's correct. What about the purge? Thoughts on the purge? Is this a target? Are they? Because I'm sure that you saw that video of that doctor talking about if you wanted to engineer something that would be very, very good at taking people out because of the incubation time. You know, you're very contagious when you're not showing any symptoms. It seems to attack people with older people who have immune deficiencies, the lowest productive people in a society. You know, was this all something perhaps that the Chinese government did to get rid of their social security people that they were having to take care of? And then in turn, it also helps out in the rest of the world in that same way.
Well, China's one-child system has really hurt their people because, it used to get like you would have to take care of the elderly. Now, if you're a gentleman who gets married, you not only have to take care of your parents, but you have to take care of the parents of the woman that you're married to. So that's a big burden. It's not easy. But I don't know if it has to do with that. I think it has to do with more social credit score, cleaning up a lot of social credit score. I think 5G is real, okay? And I think this is a purge in terms of like getting rid of all these people who are kind of starting to show they might cause social unrest. Like if you see the videos, they're pulling people out of their houses. This isn't someone going to the hospital testing. You have a woman in a car just being pulled out by the Chinese police. That does not seem like a health regulation to me. That seems like just trying to basically purge away a lot of people. Now, if you take a look at what's going on in the United States, what a better way to have the people cry for the government to come save them with, martial law than to start releasing some criminals into the thing. Now, I personally don't believe, I struggle with drugs and alcohol. I'm in recovery. And I still, even though I struggle with it, I do not think drugs should be against the law. That does not mean I condone drug use. What I'm talking about is that, victimless crimes, okay? If I do drugs, the only person I'm hurting is myself, okay? If I go rob somebody to get drugs, that's robbery. That's drug. I can stop being a drug addict. I've stopped it. I've gone through 12-step programs. It's very hard for me to stop being a felon. So you're turning people in to, once in a while you hear about a judge basically cleaning up the record. They don't have to be felons anymore, but that's few and far between. These people have a scarlet letter on them for the rest of their life for something they just did to themselves. And if they stop doing drugs for so long, why can't they get that off the record? I don't think drugs should be against law. And that's another thing I think Trump has like really done, like going to war with these cartels, which have something to do with straight up child sex trafficking and stuff like that, so yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about? Oh shoot, I lost my thought. It was
welcome to my world. I just have a dark
also a member of a
space.
12-step program. So but yeah, no, I totally understand what you mean. I considered myself a libertarian for many years. As long as people are living their lives within the boundaries of the law, they're not hurting other people, that's fine. If somebody ends up becoming a drug addict and that's how they want to live their life and just not get better, then whatever. But the people who are major drug importers, the people who are poisoning the communities, I have no problem with them, finding themselves.
Yeah, they're called the CIA.
Yeah, that's right. That's very true.
And dude, take a look at that. Here we are at another thing where Trump has talked about the CIA before, having a problem with them. This is another shot at them.
Yep.
Dude, I going even deeper, Jesuits, we talk about this all the time. If you take a look at most of your organized crime in North America, South America, and Europe, they tend to have a Catholic background to them. Italian mob, Italian mob, Irish mob, Mexican mob, they all have a Catholic theme to them.
I guess you're right, yeah.
Yeah, where all the Nazis go. Nazis all ran to where? The Vatican.
Did they? I thought they went to South America.
Well, they had to get to the Vatican, who got them to South America.
Okay. Provided
if people
cover.
actually knew how many Nazis actually were tried, it was only like 10.
Oh, yeah. I mean, many others were just integrated into American society, you know? I mean, obviously, NASA, Werner von Braun. I mean, think about how many different technological advances were made here in this country as a result of those people being integrated into through Project Paperclip.
Nothing like seeing anti-fascists with Nazi yelling about hating Nazis while wearing NASA T-shirts. That seems like fun.
Right, and we also have Pelosi, who really touts her Catholic faith, so that doesn't help the cause at all.
I'm telling you, man. And it's like, one big thing that happens in the truth community is this real push to demonize the gay lifestyle. And this is such a weird, random thing, but because somebody hit me up right now because there's somebody in the truth community that's calling out one of my friends as being closeted, which makes me laugh. But it's just like, I won't get into that, man, because you'd be amazed at how many very dark things were done by closeted gay men that I believe were blackmailed because they were gay and they didn't want anyone to know it. Mm-hmm. So like you have, especially in the hip hop and black culture, you have this real push to be like, oh, Tupac, or this guy's gay or that guy's gay, and it's just like it's just demonizing something and allowing people to blackmail people. I mean, the Nazi Party was started by closeted gay men in what was the equivalent of their Boy Scouts, which was the translation is wandering wind, they were called. Okay. And they basically were closeted, and they started this whole thing. It's just a blackmail scheme. Whenever who's that guy? Who's that really that veteran that got made fun of on Saturday Night Live? So everybody like went and defended him, and then 2 weeks later he's talking about how the First Amendment doesn't apply to Israel. Like as soon as I heard that, I was like, I play a little game called Blackmail Clue. You ever play that? What did they catch them with? Videotape where, when, and how? It doesn't really make any sense. So I'm sorry I got weird on that one.
No,
but
that's
it's just
good.
like, I love being a conspiracy theorist, but man, sometimes like I didn't get in this game to demonize people, not to demonize, white people, gays, Jews, anybody, man. It's always the base that gets the blunt force of the trauma. It's like the base is always, I've been all over the world, man. I've done USOs for the military. I've met every walk of life. I've been to China doing comedy. I've been to Afghanistan, the Middle East, you name it. I've done stand-up all over the place. I met everybody. And at the end of the day, everybody just wants to laugh, have a beer, get laid once in a while, and support their family. We're more alike than we are different, and it's always the same people that just get us all fighting with each other.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's also to the conversation about we want people to think for themselves. That's what us as a Q movement or whatever, make your own decisions, make your own choices, and you live with them. So as far as people choosing to be homosexual or whatever the case, what religion that's your choice. You do your thing. If there's consequences that come with whatever decision you make, okay, so be it. But it's all about personal choice and stuff. So as far as chastising people to a certain degree or whatever your friend went through, that's not our decision to make, right?
Yeah, live and let live. As long as you don't steal, hurt anybody, in particular children and women, let it go, dude. It's just like, it just sucks.
I'm the same way. I mean, there's, especially on YouTube, there's a big drama community, people who make videos calling other people out, and that's something I've always wanted to stay away from. The last thing I want to do is get into like a video war, between myself and some other creator, people going back and forth, saying like, he's this, I'm this. Need to say thank you to...
Hey, Red Pill, we'll all accept you when you come out of the closet.
Somebody in the chat
Fingers
earlier
crossed,
was accusing me.
Fingers crossed. Dude, here's the whole thing, dude. As soon as I started doing my show, I was blessed that, one of my closest friends is Eddie Bravo. He's like the face of a lot of this stuff. He's always out there. He's very much in the queue. He's the reason why people, whether you like it or not, debate flat Earth. It is what it is, man. The guy's more right than he is wrong, and I love him with all my heart, and he's changed my life. He's changed my life. But the minute we started talking, the minute Tinfoil Hat came, within like 10 episodes, I was being called a gay Jew shill. And it's just like, if you aren't being called compromise, that means nobody's listening to you.
Right.
You know what that
100%.
means? You're successful.
Very true. Very, very true. Social Observer says, I heard China was behind the Paradise Fires. Haven't heard that. Seababs. I remember hearing how the baby boomers are going to crush the medical system when we all retire. Any thoughts on this and CV-19? So this would be another thing that it could be taken into effect. I mean, if a lot of people are not going to be on Social Security, if a lot of people are not going to be overwhelming Medicaid, I mean, it might give less strain onto the system if that were to take place. Brittany Taylor says, why so many people are homosexual? It's weird to me. I think that there's a concerted effort among the elite and the cabal to push people into that type of a lifestyle. And I don't know that we would necessarily have as many people who choose that lifestyle if they had not been coerced in many different ways as children.
Here's my whole thing. The only reason that there seems like there's so much more people is because it's way more acceptable. So more people will come out. Now, what you're saying about the sexualization of children, the pushing to basically feminize boy, 100% true. 100% true. And my question to anybody is like, to get mad at somebody that has had hormones shoved into their food and been brainwashed by the mainstream media into being a certain type of lifestyle, right? It's kind of like blaming cancer patients for smoking cigarettes.
Sure.
To me, it's like it is just a byproduct of a game that's been pushed on them. So I just like, to me, man, I am a live and let live guy. If you're one of those people like, just give me my flag, my Bible, and my guns, God bless you. But I also say, if you're someone who has an alternative lifestyle, again, as long as you're not hurting children, I don't care what you do with consent. It is not my thing, So whenever anybody goes, oh, Sam, you're just gay, I just run with it. I just tell them all the weird shit. I make up stuff. Because it's like, what are you going to do to me at this point? I just don't care. It's just like, it really, you know who I am, dude? You ever seen that one little video of that dude with a mullet in a hurricane with his flag and he's just banging? That's me, dude. That is my spirit animal. I am just like, dude, I love this country and I love just the right to be and do what I want to do. And I apply that to everybody, even when they're doing things I don't agree with, okay? Again, as long as you're not hurting people, in particular children, I'm not going to get in your way and you do your own thing. That is as libertarian as hell as you can get.
Right. I mean, we got to get back to that. I mean, all this political correctness garbage and everything they were leading us towards, like, we got to be individuals. Like, I mean, I don't hate on Red Pill for not liking or understanding sports at all. I mean, I listen to like metal that people would think is the devil. It's my thing. I don't want to be judged for it. And I don't judge other people for listening to other garbage music I'm not into.
Yeah.
And listen, dude, the truth of the matter is, it's just like every group. Like, they have some culpability in this, okay? Gays aren't out of it, dude. I don't know why anybody at a gay pride parade would think it's cool to have kids there. I'd be like, hey man, this is our Mardi Gras. Send your kids home. Get a babysitter. Stop ruining our good. This is about us. This ain't about you and your breeding kids. Get your kids out of here. Right. It's the same thing I talk about with I live in LA. Dude, you can't throw a rock without hitting a trans person, right? Right?
I don't know. I haven't been there in years.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's everywhere. And you know what? Teach their own. I don't really care. But make no doubts about it. Like, people like Rude Paul, who, I've watched Drag Race forever. I think that show's hilarious. It is a train wreck of epic proportions, and it makes me laugh, okay? God bless them. They got a great show there. But Rude Paul doing that show on Netflix, she's selling out her own.
That is
She
not
is setting
cool.
up people to get mad at her demographic. And, Tim Dillon said it before. He's like, dude, what the crazy batshit crazy Christians used to say about the gays coming for your kids, guess what? That's happening. What that show does.
Yeah.
And it's done purposefully to get Christians scared. So she's doing more, how about instead of drag queens going to teach elementary school, why don't we work on basic things like trans people being able to have a normal job where they don't have to put their life in danger in the sex industry, okay?
Sure.
I mean, I know this is some bizarro stuff on the show, and I'm just like, live and let live. That's all I gotta say.
I feel you.
I don't think I'll ever be invited back.
No, you will. You definitely will. You definitely will.
Sam, no, we want to have these kind of conversations because one, it's your opinion, and no one can take that away from you. Second of all, there needs to be the discussion in general about letting people live their lives, and whether we approve about their decisions or not. At a certain degree, it's okay. Let them live.
When you go in when you're a drag queen entertaining kids, I mean, would anyone think it was okay if I brought a bunch of strippers in there doing pole work? I mean, it's the same. Like a drag show is an adult event done in adult bars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Right. 100%. Need to say thank you to Candace Estab. Oh, we said that one already. Oh, WI38 MRC5 is aborted fetal tissue in vaccines. Read all package inserts given to your kids in large doses, gender confusion, and sterility. Angelic Power says, anyone want to match this? I appreciate that. D's Nuts Be Dragon says, only guy, if you make eye contact, bro, I'm not judging. And then Vader Force Ghost, CV-19 drug being sent to Michigan to test on 3,000 patients. If it works, Trump has ordered millions of doses for the entire country. Per Mike Pence, credit Maurice Stearns. Great news. Well, we'll have to look into that. Chris Hawkins says, we love you, Sam. Sam, we do love you. You are always welcome back on the program. Thank you very much.
Dude.
No, it's okay.
I get on my high horse, but
we're at the end of our regularly scheduled broadcast. So you did great. I appreciate you coming in. Tell everybody once again where they can find you.
Well, I just want to say that, start off by, I love these conversations. This is what we call black belt conversations. Nobody had to freak out. And it's great. Red Pill, I met you through, I believe, John Paul Rice. I think he was our connection. And it's been a wonderful friendship ever since. We talk every once in a while. You know, being parents, it's very hard to connect all the time, but when we can, we talk, and I appreciate our conversations, and I appreciate you having me on. And for those I didn't scare, please go find me at Sam Tripoli, Tripoli, on all social media. You can go to youtube.com/tinfoil hat. I put up all my episodes there, or find Tinfoil Hat with Sam Tripoli on anywhere you listen to podcasts. And then finally, my new website, it's like you had to get to a certain number to get a special website address or YouTube, whatever, URL, excuse me. So I don't have that yet on my YouTube one, but if you put Broken Simulation with Sam Tripoli, I'll go and put it in the tags. You'll hopefully be able to find it and subscribe. That'd be great. And again, dude, I love everybody. I love doing this show. You know, Red Pill, you guys are why I love this whole thing. Like, God, you know, you're not in Hollywood, you're not in New York, you're just doing this thing, and you're doing it because you love it, and you've gotten a great following. And like, I try to freely give out what was freely given to me. And my friend one time sat me down and was talking to me about the power of YouTube and the power of podcasting, and I followed it one day, and it just changed my life. And when I see what you guys are doing, you know, you and Method, it is amazing. And like, I just tell everybody, and the people listening to your show, it's just like, you can do this too, man. You can do this. All you have to do is have just a point of view, a real belief, and come from a good place, and people will find you. And you just got to do it, man. And you're no different. We are no different than you. You just got to do it, and you could change your life in 180. In 1 year, your life can be completely different. So I hope you guys do this too, and then you guys ask me to be on your show, because I'd love to help everybody trying to do something.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks again for joining us today, Sam. I appreciate it. Methods, as always, thank you for being here. Thank you to the audience. Thank you to my mods. Thank you to everybody who supported the channel today. Also, thank you one last time to Love It One. All right, you guys, good luck and God bless. Remember, I'm taking tomorrow off. I'll see you guys on Tuesday.